Tez.
Welcome to the TezDown. Welcome.
Find me, Tez.
Mic check 1 2. Welcome. Welcome to the TezDown. Party time. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, research, education, and parody. Under this act, fair use is permitted use of copyrighted content that might otherwise infringe on the exclusive rights of copyright holders. The TezDown podcast is a platform for entertainment and education. Edutainment, a blend of education and entertainment, emphasizes content that informs while it entertains. The views expressed in this channel's commentary do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of the hosts, and may not always reflect complete or verified accuracy of information presented. All content, including commentary, analysis, and discussion, falls within the legal parameters of fair use. We make no claims to ownership of any third-party content. This is the TezDown. Sports unscripted, culture unfiltered. Thank you for understanding.
The mic is hot, the light is red. Let's talk about what the paper said. We kept the files on Ted. Down, nightcap. Exactly what they wanted to see, but the angles are wrong and the timeline slip. We're reading the notes outside the script. Draw the line from the street to the stand. Nothing plays out the way they planned. We kept the file on 10. Down nightcap. We're spinning the tape back, checking the code, looking for safe waters in the middle of the sea. Cut the static, listen for the breath between the rumors and the sudden death. We just want the facts. Lay them on the floor until the locked room isn't locked anymore.
Why you ain't say nothing? I'm only gonna do this once. You always knew I'd make it in the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? You believed in me the whole time? Yeah. I couldn't tell. You was around me from the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Seen them hard times couldn't kill me. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Stages on moon getting bigger. Now you wanna say something. But watching my story, y'all winning. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't call? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't? You was around me from the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't? Stages on moon getting bigger. Now you wanna say something? Put that on my soul. Oh no. They ain't hungry no more when it's time to eat crow. Or farming, I'm enhancing my glow. Ain't gon' argue with you about what I know. Photo album, all I'm seeing is ghosts. Had to remodel from pillar to post. Said what I said, I ain't come here to argue. You said congratulations, should've said sorry. Got it, now you won't be part of the party. Your access denied, I'm sorry, not sorry. When I needed air, niggas wouldn't afford it. Now they pulling up and thinking we solid. Now I'm on the phone talking $1 million topics. Up early, Zoom call out to Abu Dhabi. Don't answer my phone if it's gonna be about gossip. I don't really care, everybody got problems. That's why I be sharing my woes. Letting y'all know it's okay, you can come up from the bottom. Scraping, scratching, clawing. Before I start running, I started with crawling. Before I got balance, I started with falling. Started with broke before I ever was balling. Started with hope before I ever rewarded. They ain't sure until I became important. You was around me from the beginning. Why you ain't?
Welcome to the TezDown. This is Nightcap. How are you guys doing this afternoon? It's night, not even afternoon. It's nighttime. What's going on in Too Deep? As always, I have my wonderful co-host with me. In Too Deep is in the building. What's up, In Too Deep?
Not much. Learning some new information, man. You know, getting it in while I can fit it in.
Well, In Too Deep, what's in your cup?
I'm drinking this new thing that I got off the TikTok. I'm not getting paid by them, so I'm not going to tell them. But it's lemon lime something.
Okay, all right. What's the problem with Katie?
That From like I said, I don't know. I was kind of listening in, and Tisa Tells was talking about somebody dry snitching, and she might have been on the boat.
Mama V is in the building with them twos. What's going on? But you know, we put these ones up in the air. How you doing, Mama V? What's going on? Roxy's in the building. What's up, Roxy? And always, welcome into the newbies. As you come in, please click the like button and subscribe. It's a free way to support the channel. My name is Tez. This is the TezDown Nightcap with Tez and In Too Deep. And we're going to be discussing more of the Nolan Wells case today. Let me go ahead and put the image up in case you guys missed it. Here we go. We're going to be discussing more of Nolan Wells today, and we're going to be talking about it. So I want you guys to all get very, very comfortable. It's nighttime. This is the Nightcap, and we want to make sure that we cover all of our bases today. So we already got the disclaimer out of the way. We did. We already got the disclaimer out of the way. You guys saw that. And we're just going to be talking about what the problem is with Katie right now. It's the first subject of the night. I wasn't expecting to do this one right away, but it happened. And because it happened, we got to talk about it. So hold on, Tisha. Hold on, Tisha. This is, again, Tisa Tells. Tisa Tells has been covering this as well. And a lot of times she has some insight on things. And we're going to cover it and start it. How about that? Katie's whole story is being called into question. There are plenty of people that are saying that Katie is not necessarily being truthful. Now, the accuracy of that, I don't know. I wasn't there. That'll be my first, not even my first disclaimer, the second one. As always, if you are in the chat, please like and subscribe. Feel free. This is an interactive show. You guys can talk to me in the chat. I will read your chats unless they get overwhelming. If they do get overwhelming, you can always follow the ticker at the bottom of the screen, which does have Zelle and Cash App, and I'll read yours immediately, as well as play you a song of your choosing, as long as it's one of Classic's musics. Oh, now, geez, you still, you gotta stop, girl.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Listen, something breaking in the Nolan Wells case, and I think by the end of this video, you're going to be asking, is there a problem with Katie? Now, if you guys don't know, I did a live where Nolan's family came and spoke out and said they love Katie, they trust Katie. I'll show the receipts on that toward the end of the video. I think we need to get into what the crux is. There are now pictures and what some would call photographic evidence that Katie was on Bart's boat. More importantly, she was on Bart and Wyatt's boat at the time of the pictures that it was being towed. When Wyatt's boat was being towed by Bart's boat, and Wyatt was on the phone with Cito. Now listen, I know it sounds crazy. I know you like to see what are you talking about, but you know I always bring the receipts. Let's get into them. But before we do, I have to say this. You guys, this is opinion, speculation. Everybody wants to find out what happened to Nolan. Katie, the family, everybody does. Please do not send questions, comments, hate, vitriol, worse yet, any threats of violence, anything that you would not send your own mother. Please, it's not going to help the case. It's not, and it actually might actually wind up with you getting arrested. If you want to do something to help, give Nolan's mama some money in the GoFundMe. Give Ben Crump some information. Send whatever. Everything I show, the Ben Crump law firm has been sent. Send them your clues.
Tisa missing a very big point. And that's, they don't have to worry about the money, because if you give up the information that they're looking for, they'll give you $125,000.
Yeah.
There's a $125,000 reward for any information leading up to an arrest or finding out what happened to Nolan.
Plus the $50,000 too from Papa.
Yeah, so you might even get $175,000 if you tell the truth. If there's a truth to be told. If there is. So, I mean, we're not gonna be obtuse about this. There might be a truth to be told in this whole situation. The question is who's gonna tell it and when.
Them your things. That's where you're going to get help. Again, we want everybody healthy, well-centered, alive, and in good spirits so they too can witness the grand day when we actually find out what happened to Nolan. All right? Now that I've gotten the disclaimer done, and this goes for all the videos, let's get into Katie or what people are calling the problem with Katie. Was she actually on Bart's boat? And does she know more than what she's saying? All right, let's get into this. Hold on. All right, here we go. You guys, let me introduce you to the nerdy Pink Panther. She is one of the best when it comes to details researchers out there. And she believes that Katie has dry snitch. But what's more, there's evidence to back up what she believes. I want you to watch it. And then we're going to have the discussion where I actually show you what Nolan's family is saying about this. And let's just go. It has me scratching my head. Let's go.
My third time making this video because they keep taking it down because they don't want you to see what I have found. Katie has dry snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat where she's wearing a teal swimsuit and she's with a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit. On this video,
this is very important. So Katie's...
Whoa, so we got some timestamps now. That's something that's very important.
Yeah.
We have timestamps.
Yeah, the Don Lemon has one, has a detailed breakdown. Once again, this is not government issue. It's more private.
Internet sleuths.
Well, actually, we're going to be independent media.
We're going to be examining that as well. We're going to be examining the Don Lemon interview as well. And we're going to talk about that too. So you guys stay tuned here on Nightcap. I know this is a little bit different than what we normally do on Nightcap, but this is a very pressing case. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. So, again, you guys can help us out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Stay tuned. We're going to keep it going.
She's wearing the teal, and she's with a girl in blue and white. Please keep that in mind. Let's keep going.
Video of the three boats. You're going to see a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit right here on Bart's boat. And right next to her, with the same long, wet hair, is a girl in a teal swimsuit on Bart's boat. Make sure you have your brightness turned all the way up because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat.
What is she showing is allegedly photos from Katie's Snapchat that shows Katie on a boat, and it was presented without commentary. So the pictures have not been verified, but Katie's people have not come out and said that's not her. Many people believe this is from her official Snapchat.
Oh, look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up because right here, we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water. And would you look at that? It's right next to the grandparents' house. Now, in that report with the GPS coordinates, didn't they say that they went southwest towards St. Martin Bayou? Yeah, that's right, it did. And it also took them 45 minutes to get to that boat ramp over there. That only takes about 6 minutes on land. Like I said, they are trying to take down my page. Make sure you are following my backup here. But Katie, I want to say one thing to you. You're young, and I know you don't realize this yet, but these are not your friends. Be a hero. Do what's right.
Okay, let me rewind that really quick because I think there was so much that was missed. I want to play it for you guys one more time, okay? Because this is actually very, very shocking. And I want to go through the receipts, and I'm going to zoom it in so you guys can see a lot clearer. But yeah, look at this.
This is now my third time making this video because they keep taking it down because they don't want you to see what I have found. Katie has dry snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat.
July 4th, 2026 at 5:24 p.m. Yeah, about 15 minutes, class. What's going on? Oh, you know what time? You know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is, don't you? Classic is here, y'all.
Say his name and he appears. Classic.
What's up, man? Nice to see you made it to the show today. You had an excellent show this morning. If you guys missed the Classic Code show this morning, well, technically this afternoon, you should definitely check that out after we get off live today. Oh, yeah. 5:24 in the afternoon. So this was well after everyone supposedly had left.
Right.
Nolan hadn't been seen since 3 o'clock, according to Warren. Everyone had left. It's 5:24 in the afternoon. This is after the boat has already been towed back to land, per se.
Mm-hmm.
But also remember, Katie's alibi was that she was with her parents on her parents' boat. So I'm not sure.
I thought her brother took her home.
Yeah, like there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on here, man. Let's tap back in.
Where she's wearing a teal swimsuit and she's with a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit. On this video of the 3 boats, you're going to see a girl in a blue and white striped swimsuit right here on Bart's boat. And right next to her with the same long wet hair is a girl in a teal swimsuit on Bart's boat. Make sure you have your brightness turned all the way up because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat. Oh, look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up because right here, we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water. And would you look at that? It's right next to the grandparents' house. Now, in that report with the GPS coordinates, didn't they say that they went southwest towards St. Martin Bayou? Yeah, that's right, it did.
Yeah, they did. So this is actually starting to get weird, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit extra.
Right, so they keep on saying this. They talked about Katie a lot, and for most of the internet, absolved Katie. Most of the internet absolved Katie. And so, but it looks like Katie's boat dock is right where their boat went. This is, that was at 5:35 in the afternoon. This is really starting to get weird. As you guys can see from the GPS coordinates, they intersect at around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it also took them 45 minutes to get to that boat ramp over there. That only takes about 6 minutes on land. Like I said, they are trying to take down my page. Make sure you are following my backup here. But Katie, I want to say one thing to you. You're young, and I know you don't realize this yet, but these are not your friends. Be a hero. Do what's right.
Y'all. Now, let's get into Nolan's family. Why has everybody largely believed everything Katie's saying? And I'm not saying Katie is lying. I'm not saying she's not. I am saying that let me put this up on the screen. I am saying that in the police report, the boys kept saying that he was with an unidentified woman, even though they all knew Katie. They called her an unidentified woman. As a matter of fact, I have been very, very critical that Warren and the other people, friends that the police spoke to the night when they were about to start searching for him, somehow whatever they said to the police led the police to believe that Nolan was not in fact missing. And Nolan was probably drunk or asleep at someone's house, and he was chilling with the unidentified girl, who Warren later identified as being Kate, and knocked on Lainey's door. And that's when Lainey said, I haven't seen Nolan in a year. I know him, but I've not seen or talked to him in a year. And what's more, I was on a different island, Petite Bois. I never went to Horn Island that day. That was very odd and very weird. It's all.
This is starting to get even stranger.
Yeah, the misdirection is crazy.
Yeah, I said it the other day that that misdirection was going to start happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really starting to pop up. Everyone's starting to come up with different alibis and different stories, but their different alibis and different stories don't make any sense.
Right.
Because we have GPS data. Like we have GPS data from cell phones and the boats. We have the phone calls.
I'm starting to believe they want this to happen this way, though. Because it only helps the case with misdirection. So
right, you have all these conflicting stories, and then what they'll say is, nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what they'll say. Nobody knows.
Chasing the wind.
Almost makes me think, were you leading the police on a wild goose chase? But here's where things get complicated. Because why has everybody largely overlooked Katie's role in this? Well, because, right? The mystery woman Nolan Wells' friend Cece was chatting to when they left island was identified. Katie's sister actually came out and shared a conflicting story. But here's the part that why everybody looked it over. All right? She came out and said, I thought the last time I saw him was when they were all yelling on the boat, Warren, get the F on the boat. I'm sorry, Nolan, get the F on the...
Whoa. This is, yeah, classic. So this is one of the things that I'm saying. I like it, but at the same time, is this factual?
No,
I don't have a lot of records about this. But if she's saying that they were yelling Nolan, get on the boat, when they were all on the boat, and he got on the boat, then that's going to be a problem. So don't let her muddy your water. Exactly. I'm not trying to get off the case or anything like that. Let's see what else she's talking about.
Boat. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Now, to be fair, when you look at Nerdy Pink Panther, you see somebody who is white with blonde hair wearing a white cap and a teal suit. Maybe there were other girls, maybe teal. I mean, teal is a very popular color this year, and it's in all the Target bathing suits. I'm not saying Katie has a Target bathing suit on, but you know what I'm saying. If something's in Target, it's everywhere, right? And no, I have not been shopping at Target. I'm just saying, right? The whole thing is that, getting back to my point, there could be other girls who had blonde hair with white caps and a teal swimsuit. Now, the odds that they will be standing next to another girl that had on a striped navy suit, now it gets like whatever. But again, getting back into why Katie's words have not been questioned, or again, I don't know what's in Nolan's mom's thing, but I do know that part of Nolan's family actually went on record to the Daily Mail along with Katie's sister. These are quotes saying that they love Katie. Here's what they said. It was Jackson County Sheriff's Deputy Keandra McKinney. Here she is right here, Keandra McKinney. She said she's one of Nolan's relatives. I don't know if it's on the mama's side or the dad's side, but they are very close, and she was speaking for the family. She said, one of Nolan's relatives, Keandra McKinney, posted in support of Katie after she received a torrent of abuse claiming she played a role in Nolan's death.
Yeah, but see, posting in support doesn't mean that they're like, oh, we love her, blah, 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 blah. That's not what that means. It could just mean that she said, hey, leave that girl alone, let her tell her story. You know, that doesn't mean that she was like, oh, she's one of the best friends. King Frostbite said, you don't know anything but a bunch of speculation. This chick acts like she was there. I mean, that's one of the things that we're talking about right now is she's reading things from people that said they were there and people that were confirmed to be there. But at the same time, I wasn't. So I'm just looking at this from an objective point of view. You know, one of the best things that you can do in life is remain objective. Even when things seem to be not going your way, you can remain objective about it. I'm remaining objective about this. I don't know the validity or if this is just more misdirection. In my opinion, it's probably just more misdirection.
She said, we all know and love Katie. Nobody, as far as my family, is blaming Katie. We all love her and her whole family. Katie has spent many events with our whole family in Three Rivers countless times. My family has no vendetta out against her whatsoever. We love her. I think we're just trying to understand what happened. She said that, okay, so there you go. So largely, nobody has really looked into Katie and the timeline. We just know that Katie, much like Bart, said things that directly contradicted things Warren said. In the fact that Warren cannot be telling the truth, Katie cannot be telling the truth, and Bart cannot be telling the truth, all in the same universe. Because there are certain parts, again.
Now that part is true. Everybody cannot be telling the truth. Because everybody's stories are different.
Agreed.
Everybody's stories are different. So,
Agreed.
So there's one more part of this video.
Sometimes she does go on a tangent, and I've watched her in the past, and I'm not saying she's wrong or right. I'm just saying I take what she says with a grain of salt. I like.
Yeah, she's all over the place right now. Yeah. There's another section. I'm gonna let it finish. We'll finish this section
because The information now calls into question.
This is now my third time.
Sorry, the information now comes into questions. What does Katie know? Does she know more than she's saying?
No, it's not.
Is she worried through this evidence? Because
Snitched, y'all. Here we see Katie's Snapchat where she's wearing a teal swimsuit all the way up, because here we have Katie in a teal swimsuit, and look at her head. She is wearing a white hat. Oh, look, the video of the boat getting towed. Teal swimsuit, white hat. And that's not all, folks. Again, turn your brightness all the way up, because right here, we've got somebody wearing red trunks. Oh, and look what we have here. Red trunks. And here's those same red trunks on the shore right after the fight with Tristan. Katie is claiming that she allegedly caught a ride home with somebody named Marty McGrath. It just so happens that a Marty McGrath is the co-owner of the Biloxi Bay RV Resort and Marina in St. Martin. Here it is, and my, that is a massive dock way out in the water.
Okay, we got that down packed. We're gonna go to somebody that's a little bit more reputable. Nothing against you, Tisa. Nothing against you at all. We're gonna go to somebody that's a little bit more reputable, and that is Don Lemon. Don Lemon has broke the news that the Cajun Navy has released a new timeline and new photos in the Nolan Wells case. And also, this timeline might just line up with something that we might have just heard. It may not. Roxy said, I just pray Nolan's family gets the truth. As do I. As do I, just about everybody else that's watching right now. We do want the truth. I think that the truth is going to be a lot more important than anyone's opinions. My opinions, your opinions, or, classics, or anybody's. I think that the truth is going to be the most important thing. But right now, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this and see what Don Lemon is going to say about it, and this is the latest on it with Don Lemon.
In fact, the very first thing the authors tell you is that this is a working analytical report, much like the audio technician who told us, hey, look, this is my analysis. This should not be the only analysis. It's not the gospel. This is my interpretation of what happened. This is their own analytical report. It is a working report. It's not a law enforcement finding, and it doesn't determine criminal or civil responsibility. Okay? It doesn't do that. So Andy, let's pull it up and take them through. Let's start with page 1. So this is Nolan Wells, geospatial timeline and vessel movement analysis. And then it has Horn Island, Mississippi, July 4th, 2026. So this is what it was like out there. And so they put all the boats together that they have, right? They put all the boats together. Boat 1, Boat X, Boat 2, Boat 3, Warren on Palm Beach. Okay. And so Warren is, what's his first name? Anyway, Warren Hudson is his first name. And so it says Warren on Palm Beach. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is kind of, maybe it's not what you think it is. Disappointing. Actually, it's not disappointing. I think it's exactly why it's worth reading this report and looking at it and giving it to you. Okay, figure 1, annotated source image showing boat number 1, boat X, boat number 2, and boat 3 in relation to the Palm Beach viewpoint. Okay, so scroll up a little bit, Andy, so I can see. Okay, working analytical report. This report organizes the supplied photographs, videos, annotations, coordinates, and social media statements. It is not a law enforcement finding, and it does not determine criminal or civil responsibility, as they said. Okay, we've reached a point here. Keep scrolling, Andy. We've reached a point here in this case where everybody seems convinced that already they know what happened, as we have said this morning.
Oh, we got the first one already. Jesse Landry, 1984. Jesse, what have we said that was hate-filled and racist? What have I said? What have I said on tonight's show that was hate-filled and racist? What has anybody said that was hate-filled and racist? Has anybody mentioned race yet? White hat is not the same thing as racist.
Darbo.
Yeah, like this is projection at its finest. Nobody's mentioned race as of yet today. Kevin Little said, thank you, Kevin Little. I appreciate it. But nobody said anything about race. It's always somebody that comes in here and tries to bait us into a racial conversation. This is not a racial conversation right now. Could it turn into one? Most certainly could. Most certainly could. Is it a racial conversation yet? No. So, mind your P's and Q's. Pay attention to the story. I mean, you came in here for a reason, right? We're obviously two people that you want to listen and talk to. So let us do this. Stop with the crap. I don't feel like any of the crap tonight.
Some people are convinced that this was an accident. Others are convinced that there was foul play involved in this. Some people think law enforcement has handled this professionally. Others believe that there are too many unanswered questions. They haven't really been transparent. They haven't been candid. That's what they believe. They haven't answered enough questions to justify. They haven't answered enough questions, which justifies serious skepticism in this one. Okay. So and look, I'm always honest with you. Right? We're not naive here. We know the history of Mississippi. As I've been telling you, I told you this morning, we know why many Black Americans don't automatically give institutions the benefit of the doubt. We do. The history of this country, it's all real. It is earned. And it is impossible to separate that history from the way many people see this case. And at this time, history cannot answer what happened to Nolan Wells. It can provide us with a roadmap, perhaps, with some knowledge about what could have happened, where we are now. Because look, Reverend Sharpton said something the first day at the funeral. He said, I think it was at the funeral or at the press conference, where he said, I think it was at the press conference. No, at the funeral. Your medical history, when you go to the doctor, your doctor asks you about your medical history, right? If you're going to a new doctor. Or if they'll say, do you have a history of this? What about your family? What is this? What medications are you on? So that history of Mississippi is an indicator for how law enforcement there or officials might handle things. So evidence has
We don't know who Roland is.
The history should be added into the evidence and into the report and into the findings. All right. And that is why I find this report so interesting. So investigative focus. The central questions are straightforward, but the available record is not yet complete. At what time? Which boats were present? Which boats moved? When did they move? Who was aboard them? When did the Triton begin taking on water? Very important stuff, right? When did all of this happen? What happened between Nolan's last independently corroborated sighting and the 1631 departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island? And this is number one. If the boat was sinking, why was the rescue request? That was a very good question. If the boat was sinking, why was the rescue request canceled? Extremely suspicious. I don't know. That was bizarre. Was he somebody else on the phone with his grandfather while the grandfather was on the phone with Cito? I don't know. And so here,
I mean, that actually has been bothering me this entire time.
Right.
Why would you cancel a rescue when you called for a rescue?
Exactly. And then why would the grandfather call directly to the skipper? For the captain?
I mean, we have seen, we just showed last weekend on the show, on Friday night, that it doesn't take that long to drain in the bilge pump area. It doesn't take that long to change it out. Doesn't take that much. It's not that deep in any boat.
No.
It's not. You know, you can pretty much take care of that right away. But that still doesn't absolve the fact that they made this call, and while they were asking for help, the grandfather was saying, "No, don't help them. They don't need it." Hey, you know what power is? Look, man, I don't have time for the trolling tonight. You have a nice time watching the show without being able to talk. There you go. Enjoy yourself. Kevin Moore says, I'll tell you history. Hundreds of young Black men have been killed by other Blacks since Nolan's death, and you and your community doesn't give a crap. Shut the fuck up, Kevin. Shut up.
You need to censor.
Shut up. You know, you guys don't care. Black on black crime is a myth. All crime is proximity based. All of it. But the first thing you guys start doing is coming in here and talking this racist crap. And I haven't mentioned race. You guys are mentioning race. I'm not talking about race at all right now. And the fact that you guys keep talking about it is really starting to be pretty annoying for all of us. This is the reason why that we end up talking about race is because you want to talk about it. You want to talk about it. You want to feel superior because for whatever reason, you feel like you need to feel superior. But let me tell you a secret. Black people do not think about what white people think about or care about until white people get in black people's face and ask us questions or say things like this. I wasn't going to mention the fact that he was black all night if I didn't have to.
He's a football player.
Exactly.
He's a college student.
I won't read it out loud, piecing this puzzle, but I would love to, but I can't. Exactly. It's proximity based. Wherever you live at is the people that are going to be the most dangerous to you and the people that you are most dangerous to. Exactly. Yeah. Sibiao, Kevin. Sibiao. Roxy said, y'all hit them likes up. Locked and Loaded, so they talking about that drowning? That hasn't been proven. So Locked and Loaded, if you got some information that we don't, please let us know what you got.
We need the thorax area. Let's get them throat.
Yeah, let's get that throat.
Here's the analytical premises here, or premise, I should say. There remains a material gap in the timeline. The most useful next step is not to force a conclusion, but to identify exactly which events are visually documented, which are reported by witnesses, which are only annotated by secondary sources, and which remain unknown. Okay? So that is number one.
Soda Pop said, I think they were fighting over a girl. Soda Pop said, FBI handbook says interracial crimes are rare. It's because crimes are proximity based.
Mm-hmm.
Crimes are proximity based. You don't have as many of those interracial crimes because most races don't mix in with each other. That's just how it goes. There is a general population of people who don't have a problem with what you are, and then there's everybody else. And as you can see, I seem to have found the everybody else crowd tonight. How you doing? I am Tez. This is the TezDown. We are covering the Nolan Wells case tonight, and we're putting together and we're gleaning information off several different websites and several different places, including the FBI, including Mississippi, including the Crump administration, or whatever you want to call it, the attorney team that they have going for the Nolan Wells Wansley family. We're putting together information from all over the internet, the kids, the people who have been putting out numerous statements. Officer Brandon Tatum and his interviews with Warren and the other kids that were, I keep calling them kids, but these are adults. They're all over the age of 18, from my knowledge. They're not really kids. They're not really kids. They're adults. If they committed a crime at the age of 18, they're going to go to big boy jail or big girl jail. If they committed a crime at the age of 15, they're going to big boy jail and big girl jail. These are not little kids. These are adults. Underage adults as far as drinking goes, but they're adults. If you can enlist in the military and go take out somebody, you're an adult.
Facts.
Don Lemon going, no, Don Lemon is still here. What are you talking about? He's always here. Omnipresent. Soda Pop says, or people feel more comfortable hurting people within their demographic. No, they don't feel more comfortable hurting people in their demographic. It's just if they're closer to you, why would you travel 100 miles down the road to go find somebody that don't look like you when you can get what you need right there? Or the fact that if you live on top of people, like a lot of inner city people do, they're in the same digital, not the same digital, but in the same geological footprint, you have, I don't know, 10 to 20,000 people compared to in the same footprint. I don't say Montana, you might have 5. You see what I'm saying here? You might have 5 people in the same geological footprint that you would have 10,000 people in, I don't know, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It's the numbers and the semantics actually make sense when you take the time to break them down, guys. Just take a little bit of time to break the numbers down and you'll be fine. This isn't rocket science.
It actually classifies the evidence. It separates what's directly visible in the photo.
Soda Pop, what's not true about that? That's FBI handbook. Are you FBI? Okay. Soda Pop, I have been saying that. Crime is proximity based. It's who you're around. You're not driving 100 miles. Are you drunk, Soda Pop? You got something else? You got some.
Oh, there's other stuff that you're missing because it's hidden by YouTube.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Soda Pop, maybe I'm not really arguing with you, but I don't see the rest of the comments. But it looks like it's just you on here talking to me. But it's definitely true. Everybody takes care of their own people in both ways, good and bad. Yeah, plus the book is thrown at us if we do anything to them. Legitimately, we're talking about 5 times more incarceration rate. It doesn't make any sense.
Photos and videos from what's based on source annotations, from what's an analytical reference, from what simply is unresolved. Okay? And so that is the final report from the Nolan Wells. So think about that. How often do you see that online? When did you see a
Soda Pop, we're saying the same thing. Am I missing something in too deep?
He was talking about the serial unalivers also.
Oh, okay, that's why. And I don't know who Puppis is. If Puppis is not talking to me, I'm not okay with people offing anybody. So
Right.
again, I don't know where you're getting this from. Are you just coming here to write crazy stuff while I'm live? It's fine.
Yeah.
John Brown said you have the kids that were there covering this up, and you have the entire legal system covering this up. This is a serious problem, regardless of what you call it. I'm gonna have to agree. No, you said it's based on proximity. It is based on proximity. Go look at the numbers of I don't know, any suburb. It's proximity based. It's not just about your own. Your own could literally be your own could literally be, I don't know, the cleaning lady downstairs, in somebody's building. It is proximity based. I live in Chicago, and everybody takes out everybody. It ain't just black people. Everybody's on everybody. Mexicans on everybody. Venezuelans on everybody. White people on everybody. It is what it is. Go hang out on the South Side for a little while, or watch Shameless. Shameless was way more accurate than it should have been. I'm correcting. You can't correct me. This is my show. And I've already done the numbers. I did the numbers on 2 shows ago. I don't want to do them again. But if I must, In Too Deep, could you hook me up with the numbers real quick? Don't worry, Soda Pop. Don't worry, Soda Pop. Don't worry.
Report like this. That's why I think that this is so critical. Today, a screenshot becomes a fact, right? That people think it's a fact. A rumor becomes evidence. We can't do that. Somebody circles something in a photograph, and suddenly people treat it like, oh my God, this has been proven. And that's why I say I have my idea of what happened, but that's not the gospel that I've been telling people. And so this report says, slow down, let's put everything in order, and here is what we know, here's what we think we know, and here's what we still don't know. I wish more investigations and frankly more conversations worked this way. One of the biggest conclusions in the report isn't really a conclusion at all, and we will get to that. Now, let's go through number 2. These are the executive findings, okay? Geospatial anchor. The MDMR search data show in the supplied correspondence, and it gives the coordinates, 30 whatever, converts approximately, blah, 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 and it tells us that. A separately supplied map pin, and then it gives the coordinates of that, is only about 1.6 meters from that point. That's important. They're putting together a timeline. Where was the boat, right? What was the last time you saw him? Then they'll know possibly how far out in the water he was, which I had told you with Jolly, I think he got too far out into the water, and that could have been problematic for him and his friend.
Again, we're talking about Nolan Wells. We're talking about the people that are surrounding Nolan Wells. We're talking about the Mississippi government. We're talking about Nolan Wells. We're talking about Nolan Wells. We're talking about Nolan Wells. If you wanted to talk about David and other things, you should have came to my other shows. If you, it takes 30 seconds to go and look at my library and see that I already talked about David. A lot.
We're busy trying to check out what was happening on the boat. And then there was Nolan in the background, left alone. That is one of the possibilities for me. Possible, again, not gospel. And then it just goes on and it says, these 2 depictions therefore appear to refer to essentially the same location, subject to normal map GPS precision. Okay, so they are locating, they're corroborating with others and with other information. Second mapped point, a second supplied coordinate, and it gives the coordinates, is approximately 279 meters from the MDMR origin vessel datum. The media supplied here does not establish what event that second point represents. Still to be investigated. Now you guys remember, Jolly did something very similar to this, where he put together the coordinates and did his own research. And Jolly is a trained professional, a former Army interrogator. Okay, so that is the second point, the second map point where they said here it does not establish what event that second point represents. They'll find that. That's going to be important. And this is, I mean, all of this is still critical. They're saying that there is still a critical gap in the timeline. The authors say that they still cannot establish a continuous, independently corroborated chain of events between Nolan's last confirmed sighting and the reported departure of the boat he arrived on.
And this is the problem that I've been talking about since the first day that I started covering this a few weeks ago, actually like 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point, almost a month. I've been covering this for almost a month. And one of the things that I pointed out was that there's a time dilation issue. Everyone keeps giving conflicting stories as to what time they left, when the last time they saw Nolan, and who was the last person that saw Nolan. And that's where the bigger issue is starting to come from. As time progresses, people's memories start to get foggy. They start to watch so many things on the internet. They're talking to their friends, and they're corroborating with each other. But these are not the stories that they originally gave. And that's an issue. Anytime that you're looking for witnesses, which how could they even, let's say that something did go down, right? let's say that something did happen to Nolan. How then could we actually get a fair trial for anyone without the court having issues and being declared a mistrial due to tampering because of all of the misinformation that's surrounding this case now? I don't know how we, or when I say we, I say the people, because anytime that there's a court case, it is the people versus whoever did it, whoever is alleged to have done it, or to whoever is pleading guilty to doing it. It is the people versus that person. So in this case, it might be the people versus more than one person. How then can they even have a fair trial due to so much misinformation that has to be sifted through because the jury is going to be tainted? How many jurors are they going to call that are going to be honest about, especially in Mississippi, about not hearing about this, when it's probably the biggest thing that's happened in Mississippi in the last 2 years?
Oh yeah, small town shit.
Ocean Springs.
They identify the interval as the most important unanswered part of this case. Okay? That is the most important part of this case. That interval is crucial. Now, I want you to notice what they don't do. This is what they don't do. This is what people do, lay people, non-professionals. What do? They fill in the gap with speculation. And that's what they're telling you, don't do that. Is it standard for the Cajun Navy, someone says, to release a new timeline and photos of Nolan Wells' case? Is it standard for the Cajun Navy to run their own investigation independent of law enforcement? Yes, it is standard for the Cajun Navy. Now, I want you to remember who the Cajun Navy is, right? Remember, the Cajun Navy is, General Russell Honore is part of that. Part of the search and rescue team. It's his organization that helps with that. So he has the ability, as a former member of the military and who led the Katrina investigation, he has the ability and the wherewithal, the credentials to be able to do that, okay? And the folks who work with him. All right, so let's continue on with the information that we have. They don't fill in the gap about what happened just because they're wanting something to put there. That's not what they're doing, okay? They don't force an answer here. They don't say, this must have happened. They say in this report, this is where investigators need more evidence. And that's what real investigators do, to answer part of the question that the person in the chat asked, okay? Now, here's the thing that we have been, when we're looking at all of this video, there's a video, and if you can take this down for a second and put the video up of the video that we got from the Instagram, I believe, of the post inside of the TMZ. So I want you to look at this, right? Play it, and we'll show you, okay?
Hey, we're out here. Everybody's coming out. 11:15.
Okay. So we have seen this, right? We've seen videos like this. This is the first time that we're seeing this particular video. And hold it right there. Okay, I want you to pause it right there and just hold it.
Also, Soda Pop, I just dropped a couple of different videos in there for you. You didn't search very good. I just did David last week, but you didn't search very good. But here we go.
Okay, so this is what they refer to as the boat cluster, okay? When all of the boats are together, we call it, you're tying it up and whatever. That's what people usually call it. Hey, you guys want to tie up together or whatever, and you do it, and a couple boats tie up and whatever. Pardon me, I've been telling you, I'm not a fan of that at all. That's not my jam. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three boats, but the two really for me at the max, because then it's too many people, too many people not looking, too much going on, and too much where you can't see, and then someone goes in the water and you don't know. So this is the boat cluster that they're about to mention right now that I'm going to tell you about. Okay, now Andy, please put the other thing back up for me. Okay, vessel cluster. The annotated stills consistently depict a cluster. Yeah, my voice changing. The annotated stills consistently.
No, that wasn't. It's not a search on YouTube. I gave you the videos. You said that I didn't do. They're there.
Depict a cluster that the source labels, as you said in the beginning, Andy, if you can take us back to boat 1, and then there's, don't take us back. There it is. Okay, there's boat 1, boat 2, boat 3, boat X, right? Warren on Palm Beach. That is a boat cluster. That's what they're talking about. Okay, let's go back to where we were. All right, so when they're talking about this, they call it vessel cluster, right? And Palm Beach and Triton. The images support relative position comparison, but the labels themselves are user source annotations rather than independent vessel registration identifications. That is important. And so they're doing what real investigators are doing, and they are being very meticulous about this. The report also looks at videos that appear to show times around 3:23 and 4:27. Okay? Now, I didn't notice any videos. Andy, were there any videos attached to this? I just saw photographs. Did I miss the videos?
I did not see videos either.
Okay. Well, I didn't see any videos. A lot of people would have looked at those videos and then they would have said, okay, the timeline is solved. And so perhaps the videos we're talking about are the cluster of boats and some of the new videos that's out. Okay? So the report doesn't make an assumption about videos or photographs or whatever. The other things that I found very interesting, which you're going to see in a little bit, is that it actually showed what Horn Island was like on that day. The weather conditions, rather than just the boats, people out walking on the beach, what the weather was like. It was beautiful. What people, what their mindsets were, how they were enjoying themselves, the entire thing. Okay, it says that those timestamps still need to be authenticated because they may not represent when the original videos were recorded. That's in there. They're talking about the videos. They could reflect when someone later screen recorded them. Okay, so some of the videos, they're not sure if it was taken, if that is from the original metadata, or if it is from when people loaded them in, right, or processed them, or uploaded them, or downloaded. Okay, again, I'm glad they're pointing this out because that is discipline. Again, the labels themselves are user source annotations rather than independent vessel registration identifications. Okay, so, and then there's, again, when we talk about embedded time evidence, which is in this one. 2 supplied screen recording videos display phone interface clock times of approximately 3:23 to 4:27. That's what I just talked about, okay? The 4:27 recording shows boats and people in the anchorage. That's in those vessel clusters where people anchor. That's why I'm not a fan of that. Okay,
no,
it shows people in the anchorage because these are clocks that are visible inside captured social media content. So they're looking at times on watches, times on clocks. Maybe it's on the GPS, maybe it's on the Garmin. If you have a boat, it could be in any of that, right? Wherever you have the thing that you have your tracks on, where you know where you can go and it's safe. You don't hit a rock or whatever, and it's safe for you to travel. That they call those tracks, right? And so they're looking for them. There are timestamps on that. They're zooming into it. Right? Maybe they're enhancing it to figure out the times. It shows between 3:23 and 4:27. Recording shows boats and people in the anchorage because these are clocks visible inside captured social media content. They should be treated as timing indicators, not automatically as verified original camera timestamps. Very important. The report documents changes in the positions of several boats, which they will talk about. We'll talk about here. And again, it doesn't claim that it proves a crime. I want to tell you that. It says that those movements should be verified with original media, GPS records, vessel electronics, and witness interviews before anyone reaches a conclusion. Okay? So 2 supply screen recording videos. It displays that time, right? And then departure hinge, it says 4:31. This is the departure. The stated 16:31, which is GMT, right? Greenwich Mean Time. The stated 16:31 departure time of the boat Canada. On which Nolan arrived at Horn Island sits only minutes after the 4:27 embedded clock visual. So there's an embedded clock visual, and then they're tracking the other thing to see what time that was. The embedded clock, if the 4:27 time corresponds to the event itself, that media could be highly probative of the immediate pre-departure vessel configuration. Original file metadata or platform post metadata is needed to authenticate that inference. So they need some metadata and others to authenticate it. But if it all lines up, that helps the investigators. That helps the investigators from the police department, the sheriff's department, the DA's office, as well as the independent investigators that are with the family's attorney. They have investigators as well.
Yes, they do.
So that is the beginning of this. More to come. First, a word from our sponsors. We're going to get back into this.
Yeah, we're going to move past that.
No, I already did it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to go through some of these photographs because I think it's really important. Social media content, they should be treated as timing indicators, not automatically as verified original camera timestamps. Very important. The report documents changes in the positions of several boats, which they will talk about. We'll talk about here. And again, it doesn't claim that it proves a crime. I want to tell you that. It says that those movements should be verified with original media, GPS records, vessel electronics, and witness interviews before anyone reaches a conclusion. Okay? So 2 supply screen recording videos. It displays that time, right? And then departure hinge, it says 4:31. This is the departure. The stated 16:31, which is GMT, right? Greenwich Mean Time. The stated 16:31 departure time of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island sits only minutes after the 4:27 embedded clock visual. So there's an embedded clock visual, and then they're tracking the other thing to see what time that was. The embedded clock, if the 4:27 time corresponds to the event itself, that media could be highly probative of the immediate pre-departure vessel configuration. Original file metadata or platform post metadata is needed to authenticate that inference. So they need some metadata and others to authenticate it. But if it all lines up, that helps the investigators. That helps the investigators from the police department, the sheriff's department, the DA's office, as well as the independent investigators that are with the family's attorney. They have investigators.
So again, I've called this out from the very beginning of this.
Mhm.
Why isn't the time lining up with what these people were saying?
Mm-hmm.
If metadata, so now we have metadata.
Right.
Independently verified metadata. The metadata says that they were still on the island. The call came in and said that they had just left the island. They were only 3 miles out. Right? They were only 3 miles out from the island by 4:30.
Yeah.
So if the metadata lines up with the phone call, there's no possible way. Like we're still missing 90 minutes of Nolan Wells' life at the very least. Where was he for those 90 minutes? Unless he was on the boat and they lied about it.
I mean, I can't disagree with what you're saying. At the same time, the aspect of everything is if the timelines are not matching, which you're taking human recollection versus, let's say, computer or GPS or whatever.
This is GPS and metadata. So the
Right.
GPS and the metadata and the clocks in the metadata actually reflect that they were a couple miles out in the ocean, 3 or 4 miles out when they called.
Right.
They weren't in the middle. You know, they didn't leave at 3:30. You know, this is 4:27 to 4:30. 4 to 5 minutes. You know, we're talking about people who don't know what time they left. But here's the thing. Why would you tell the news and the media that the last time you saw Nolan was at 3 p.m. if he's right there with you?
That is the biggest difference in understanding the actual facts versus getting what the raw data is showing you. Because sometimes your facts may not match up with the raw data. And that's what I have an issue with the whole case. Why is it so difficult for them to do that? If they're truly not doing anything wrong, they should be able to give that information.
Right. So we have metadata now that places them all there. At the time, the only person that's still missing at this point is any data concerning Nolan Wells.
Right.
His cell phone was pretty much wiped of the day.
Mm-hmm.
There was no evidence that he even used his cell phone all day.
Right. Which is not like him, which the parents have confirmed.
Right. So everyone else used their phone but him.
I mean, I looked at his ex and he had everybody else's information, like every other player that was in his conference that he probably knew. I've been, I like to go and dig past because you could tell a lot about someone's social media, and he didn't post like a normal kid either. So he wasn't posting like silly stuff. He was posting football stuff. He was posting players getting their confirmation letters for the colleges that they're going to, their stats, what they did for the season. He was really meticulous about other people. So it would venture to say if he wasn't conceited, he would have a whole bunch of pictures of himself, of course, but he was more about others. It looks like to me. It looked like he was more of the type of person that's going to spotlight everyone else. That's the reason why got me interested, because that's the type of person I am. I post other people more than I post myself, and I'm just outward thinking that way. So with that being said, for me, if I go anywhere, I'm going to have pictures. I'm going to have, I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm going to be driving with the speed camera, having it follow me everywhere I'm going to get where I get to. And then boom, and when I get to my destination, bam, I have the information. And it's just the nerd in me. So I think he was that type of kid anyway. So for him not to have anything on his phone, let alone uploading to social media, is rare for him, it sounds like, from his parents' recollection. So there's enough facts to start pointing and asking questions like, hey, why is it like this? Why is it like that? And that's one of the main reasons why I think you guys are on this case harder than most people.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion here, I just want to know one thing.
I don't know what this
if
puppy's lover, pup's lover.
I don't know,
is
they've been drinking or something. I don't know. It's late. You know what I'm
something.
saying?
And if you don't like it, why are you here?
They don't. They obviously don't
Tell
watch
me
the
where
show.
the throat is, and then shut up.
Yeah, they don't watch the show.
They don't watch it.
No,
And
they don't watch
we
the
don't
show.
cover,
They just came here because
we
they saw
don't
some
cover
black faces on in the middle
debauchery.
of the night.
We don't cover stuff that is already getting taken care of. His situation is what it is, and it's not
covered
here
him.
tonight.
I covered him like 5 times, and that was enough.
Yeah,
I covered it 5 times. That was enough.
they have enough evidence.
I remained objective when they had the evidence they needed. I covered that as well, and then I condemned it like I'm supposed to. I did my job. Anyway, we're talking about Nolan Wells right now. We're not talking about David and his freaky little nasty little R. Kelly type self. We're not talking about that. You know, we're talking about it, which by the way, he is still innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. That is the law that was created in this country to safeguard people from being railroaded for crimes, whether they committed them or not. It works the same way for everybody, supposedly, allegedly.
Yeah, but the difference is no one's not getting the same records being challenged.
No, he's not. And that's why we're talking about Nolan Wells right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, on top of everything else that we're seeing here, metadata is now saying that their timelines are incorrect.
Right.
And because metadata has proven that their timelines are incorrect, it starts to make you question the legitimacy of the stories that they gave and the alibis.
And then we may get someone on the line here soon who may be able to help us a bit more in this, okay? And let me make sure, I want to put mine up on the screen as well for myself so that I can see what's going on. Stand by, everyone, as I get the reports. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is the original report. I just want to make sure that I have my...
All right, I'm done with this.
There we go, so that I can look at it. Okay. All right, so what is the page that we're on here? There we go. Okay.
How you like them apples?
Give them the long kiss.
Andy, I want to go through, if you will, the working analytical thing. Let's go through some of these things ourselves here. Let me move this one. Okay. I want to go through some of these. So it has all the departure hinge and all of that, supplied social media statements, all of that. And so it says, this is at 431, witness material. This is important, okay? A supplied social media statement places an almost fighting group, almost fighting, that's what they say, around 5 o'clock p.m. and says a Bertram with a blue, hang on, okay. It says a Bertram with a blue top left shortly thereafter pretty fast. A reply disputes that the relevant person was Nolan and says a different young man was present. Now, this conflict is important precisely because it prevents treating the 5 p.m. account as a confirmed sighting of Nolan. Did you guys understand that? They're saying that there was somebody else that was there, and maybe they thought it was Nolan, but they cannot confirm, okay? A supplied social media statement places an almost fighting group around 5 p.m. and says a Bertram with a blue top, that's the type of boat it was, with a blue top, left shortly thereafter, pretty fast. Reply disputes that the relevant person was Nolan and says a different young man was present. This conflict is important precisely because it prevents treating the 5 p.m., that departure, that account, the almost fighting thing, as a confirmed sighting of Nolan.
Right. So again, if he wasn't in this fight, and Tristan says it was him in the fight, and then you have Wyatt that's in the fight, where is Nolan?
Right.
Late observation said another supplied social media image states that the commenter was parked next to a group and that Nolan was nowhere in sight when the commenter left at 7:30 p.m. This is a reported observation, not independently verified by supplied media.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is what we are doing. You guys asked me this morning. I don't know if you were the same person, and that's what I'm doing for you, okay? And then here's the core gap. And then we're going to get into the other settings and the other pictures. The supplied package does not by itself establish continuous, independently corroborated chain from Nolan's last known sighting through 4:31 p.m. The gap remains the critical analytical interval. 1650. Okay, can we do the 1631 thing for me? The one thing for me. That is the key. Again, don't want to speculate. But that is the key of what happened to Nolan. If he was indeed out there, as they said so, on the boat, and they were saying, Nolan, get in. They were having problems. He's out there. He's sinking. He's trying to call. He's on channel 16, which is the emergency. And I think if he's on channel 16 or if he's on, no, CTO would not be on channel 16. CTO would be a call. Or I've never had to use CTO, so I don't know if I can get on and say CTO. Maybe there's a channel for CTO. But usually channel 16 and channel 9 and channel 16, those are the two important channels where you can get the emergency, mostly channel 16, okay? On the radio, right? It'll say, let's say your boat name is Cajun Crawfish. Cajun Crawfish to Coast Guard, or Cajun Crawfish to Dockmaster, or whatever it is. Having trouble, I'm sinking. SOS, or whatever. And then they get back a copy, Cajun Crawfish, we're sending, or whatever. Okay? Has there ever been clarity on why his phone info has been deleted? No clarity on that. And then also, some people are refuting that, saying that it was not deleted. We'll see in the investigation. But this 1631 thing is the important thing to me. But let's go to 1650. We'll get back to 1631. The configuration point. The newly supplied 1650 photograph, there's a photograph, adds a post 1631 visual checkpoint, right? Frontier Bay, boat number 2 is no longer in its earlier original position, consistent with the fight video still. If the time is authenticated, the movement occurred by 1650, although the exact movement time.
That's 450.
Right.
That's 450. So the photograph adds a post 1631 visual checkpoint. Frontier Bay and boat number 2 is no longer in its earlier original position, consistent with the fight video. If the time is authenticated, the movement occurred by 1650, which is 450, although the exact movement time remains unknown. So metadata and GPS are saying that this is all much later than the time that everybody was saying that it was. So if we're to believe what was going on at 1631, which is around the same time that the call came in, there was a fight going on in the background, was there not?
Apparently. That's the reason why Trayston had to leave.
So this fight that was going on in the background, they're on the phone call with CTO while the fight is going on in the background, and then metadata says that that's exactly what was happening.
Right.
The fight wasn't earlier. It wasn't later. It was right when all that stuff was going on. So the people that are yelling about this were probably witnessing the fight, right?
I would assume, based off of the timestamps.
So here's my question. If Katie is seeing this, Trayston is seeing this, and all of the other friends are seeing this, why isn't Nolan seeing this? Unless Nolan's in the fight.
I would agree. And not to mention probably videoing it, because he was probably videoing other people around him.
I'm just saying.
Remains unknown. I want you to keep that in because we're going to see some photographs, and I think that's going to show us some things. Andy, go forward, please. That's going to show us some things. Okay, and then we have the evidence classification and limitations. They're very thorough in this report. Very thorough in this report. I want to spend as much time with you uninterrupted. So as well. All right. So then it does the evidence and the classification, right? That's what's here. Evidence and classification and limitations, right? Direct visual observation, and it tells what their sources were. Examples in this report: boat holes, flags, relative positions, crowds, shoreline, on-screen clock displays. Okay. Source annotation: boat 1, it shows you that, boat X, the Triton, Palm Beach, Warren on Palm Beach, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So they're going through all of that. And then it has the documentary statement, right? The MDMR data, the Matthew Lamp, Melissa Thomas, and Caitlin Bouchard statement. So there are people here and here who are giving statements. Okay. So all of this is important. The analytical references, MDR data, and then it gives the coordinates. Pins are essentially coincident. Okay. And then the unresolved, which is the last one here, exact occupancy of every vessel, authenticated every time or every clip, onset of Triton water ingress. Okay. So their analysis was thorough, but is it true? Yes. Who can verify the information? That is a very good question. Again, as we have been saying, this is analysis. Do not take this as a final report.
So if this is only analysis, okay, this is not the final report. This has not been signed off on by any law enforcement agency. This is just verifiable by the report that they gave. Correct?
Right. And this is how they would handle it, because I would get briefings and breakdowns when I was in the military, especially when we had convoys and stuff like that on certain kind of things that you had to watch out for. And they would break it down methodically. And this is just a better detailed account of what they're seeing, taking all the information and tracking it. Now I use the same system, which is a more of a flow chart, or some people would call it what do they call it? Can't remember the actual like Cornell notes, and they would break it down methodically, and they're taking the timestamps and putting everything together in the order of which the process is going, and they were putting it in an analytical way with the boat GPS. So they're trying to put it all to make sense. This is what the police should be doing. And if that's what they're doing, then they should know everywhere that the boat went, especially if the FBI is involved.
Yes.
This is what all investigators do. Okay? No one is saying that their analysis is true. They're just saying this is what they came across in their analysis. And so you would have to go through all of these witnesses that they say, the data, Matthew Lamp, Melissa Thomas, Caitlin Brochard, their statements. You'd have to go and interview. You have to take everything. You'd have to interview them. You'd have to figure out if they're telling the truth. It's all part of a report or a group of reports, right? A series of reports. It's all part of that. Okay, Andy, let's scroll through. All right, so then that's the datum, sourced media inventory. Then it just tells you what everything, the vessel cluster, the comparison. All right, so they're giving basically these annotations about what they have. They're filling you in on what they have. They're telling you all the images that they have, right? That we have sort of, that we're gonna go through. Everything, the geospatial reconstruction, everything, all right? And so let's stop right there, one of one. As part of the response, the MSDMR requests SAR data related to the missing person, Nolan Wells. The MDR will use the data to start sonar scans in the area. While information is still limited, we request the following for be used for the data. And then we go into some of the images. Let me get to my producers here. Okay. So, okay. All right, so I think let's save that for the members only if we can, team. Okay, thank you for all of that. All right, so I want to get to the images because I found that's very important. I'm a very visual person. So here we go. Okay, and you remember very early on, we got the photograph of Nolan's body on the beach. We didn't show the really explicit one, but we showed the image from far away. And I don't think we need to exploit the family or him or those images to show you. But this is what they were calculating. Where was the boat, right? Where was the boat? So this is showing the 1800 CST search datum and origin vessel GPS. Calculated comparisons to the 3A pin, blah, 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 blah. It goes through that. Figure 3B, as we were looking at this, 3A and 3B, is approximately 279 meters from the MDR data and about 279 meters from figure 3A. This is a strong geospatial match from figures 3A, but it does not itself establish when the vessel occupied that point or what occurred there. So that is the point. They're showing you where the vessel was when all of this commotion was going on. Now you see what I'm talking about being where someone is from shore. That looks like a short distance when you look at it this way, but that's not a short distance.
It looks like one, but it's like 4 football fields. That is not a short distance, especially with rip ties and all of that. That's not a short distance. So if someone is trying to get back.
Yeah, it looks like 4 football fields is what it looks like. So we got more. We got more, obviously. I got more. I got the grace. Yes, I do. I do. I do. And we're gonna keep moving because there's just more stuff that just keeps coming out. And every time more stuff comes out, we have to cover it. So I'm going to. Nancy Grace is not happy about this. Actually, we're talking about Nancy Grace. Let's go. Come on, Nancy.
Death threats are flying. One actually says there's going to be blood. So much blood. Another death threat says, don't go outside.
How can anybody do their jobs when they're getting death threats? Not only that, we understand this case is headed to a grand jury. We also learned tonight that the state's autopsy is complete, but is being kept secret. Isn't an autopsy a public document? Why is it being kept hidden from us, the public? What is in that autopsy?
Well, the state of Mississippi is under no obligation to ever release an autopsy to the public. That's number one, Nancy. And I do understand why she's asking the question, because I would want to know why they wouldn't release it either. But if it's going straight to the grand jury, because this is Mississippi after all, that means there's probably something that the grand jury is going to need to rule on, don't you think?
Right. Typically.
See the first autopsy of Nolan Wells. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
What's going on, Carl? How you doing? What's going on in the building?
What'd you say?
You know, if that sound is real, there's no getting away from that. And all this business about there's no connection, well, I listened to a good 40 seconds of SETO, S-E-A, second word T-O-W, on hold, listen to their music. There was plenty good connection, but before I can even get to the death threats of blood, so much blood everywhere, and don't step outside, and more, before I can even get to the grand jury, before I can get to the autopsy that's being kept hidden from us, I want you to meet someone very important, critical to this investigation. Her name, Janetta Brantley. Miss Brantley is the audio engineer who enhanced the 911 call, the CETO call, in the Nolan Wells case. So everybody claiming some ding dong on YouTube did it, or somebody on Insta or TikTok did it, no. She did it. I've spoken to her. I've read her statement. I want you to judge her credibility. Credibility is normally the sole province of a jury, and tonight you serve in that function. Miss Brantley, I'm sure that you're getting all sorts of abuse, threats, and so forth. It's a cacophony that seemingly won't cease. That said, thank you for being with us tonight. Explain to me where you got the audio, how you got the audio, and what, if anything, you did to enhance the audio.
First and foremost, I basically downloaded it off of YouTube from WLOX News's YouTube site. And when I downloaded it, I ripped it off of YouTube. That's the terminology that we use when we take something off of YouTube. But when I ripped it off of YouTube and I pulled it in.
Pause, please. Objection. Miss Brantley, isn't it true that the audio you got was taken directly by XLO from MDMR, correct? The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay, please continue, Miss Brantley.
So when I downloaded it from YouTube, I pulled it into my DAW, which is Logic Pro X. That's my DAW of choice. And when I first listened to it, I realized that it was like a dual mono recording, which most, most phone services or operators utilize when they're recording conversations. And so it was already split between the caller, the dispatch, and the callers in the background. And so that's what made it easy for me to isolate it without having to do much to it. So that isolation, when I separated the left channel from the right channel, that just made me be able to really focus on everything that was on the call end. And what I was hearing was I honestly could not believe what I was hearing.
Miss Janetta Brantley, isn't it true this is the same audio that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Let's listen to it one more time.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Shut the up! What'd you say? It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. We're going down. I don't know the phone number. It's either I think it's try that. Everybody was on this first. I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag on here. It got ripped off. What? No, we do not need that. Let me go look. Worth it. How to jump in and pull the plug while you're going. Take it out of gear. Hello. Take it out of gear. Okay, what's going on? What's up? Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our Doge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Hello! Let's go! Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our Doge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Hello! Let's go!
So this is audio isolation being done live. So you guys can see what audio isolation looks like and why the audio isolation is important to those of us who actually care about what really happened. You guys can hear it just as clear as day as I can. Now, mind you, it is open into your own interpretation. Not because, for legal reasons. Let's just say it that way. It's open to your own interpretation because of legal reasons. Not because I'm trying to lead you or they're trying to lead you. I haven't said anything about it just yet. I want you to hear it for yourself.
Back to Janetta Brantley joining us tonight, and she shows herself in that video showing what she is doing. What does adding EQ mean, Ms. Brantley?
Adding EQ is basically selecting a certain frequency of the actual sound and either deleting or removing a certain noise, something that's problematic to the ear, deleting that or boosting that. That's literally all EQing is.
What was your process, Janetta? Because I was sitting researching. It was early in the morning, like 5:45 a.m. several days ago, and I was researching the Nolan Wells case, and I saw the transcript as it was being played. And my husband was also up. He said, "What's wrong?" I'm like, if this is real, this changes everything. It changes everything. Because up until that point, it seemed as if Nolan's death could very well have been an accident. If this is real, it changes everything. It's seismic. What was your reaction when you heard these words, Janetta Brantley?
I think at my core, I was in disbelief. I wasn't cleaning it or enhancing it to specifically look for or identify a crime or even point the fingers at anybody. I believe I wanted it to be an accident. I think a lot of us wanted it to be an accident. So when I heard those things, when I heard, "Damn it, Bart," that name stood out to me because I hadn't even heard that name before. As I was listening to certain things that stood out to me, I was in disbelief because, again, I'm just an audio engineer. I'm not an investigator, detective, or anything like that. So when I heard a name that I wasn't familiar with, it stood out.
Well, an audio engineer would be better to talk about this than an investigator anyway. Wouldn't you think so, D?
Yeah, they would use that type of person to do that kind of service for them, and then it's up to the
Right.
interpretation. Of the
It's not really for the audio
investigator.
engineer to tell you what happened.
Right.
It's more so for the audio engineer to isolate it.
Hmm.
And then you tell us what happened. Not you
Right.
per se, but the people that can hear it.
Right. I get what you mean.
So, I mean, I challenge the chat. What do you guys hear in the chat? What are you guys hearing from this? Sonia Jackson said, chilling audio. Classic said, like and subscribe. That's right, Classic. Tyrone said, y'all busted. Sonia says, a lot going on here. Red flag, caution tape. Breezo said, Nolan was drowned. It's obvious who did it. I don't know, but Nolan was drowned from my observation. Sonia Jackson says, unbelievable. I mean, a lot of what y'all saying does point towards, yes, foul play. The fact that the grand jury is going to be ruling on this. In Mississippi, presenting an autopsy report to a grand jury is standard legal procedure for almost all unattended or non-natural deaths. This is not unattended because I believe his parents are there, but nobody was there to witness it. So it seems as if this is going to be going to, a court. If they're going to charge anybody is, up for debate. We'll see. That's neither here nor there. But it seems that the wheels of justice are starting to roll.
Not to mention, to answer your question, Mississippi typically takes all their findings to the grand jury, by the way.
Okay.
Two exceptions, but they weren't really worth mentioning.
That's very nice to know.
To me, and that alone made me want to hear what was immediately said after Damn It Bart. And so that's why in that process where Damn It Bart came in loud and clear to me, I decided to go over to the next part to hear what the rest of that statement was, which is where you saw me actually create a loop over that part, split that part, and then add a gain, which the gain is boosting the volume overall. And that's pretty much what you saw me do in that actual video. And so to hear, Damn It Bart, Nolan's really dead now, that I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
My reaction to Janetta, because when I first heard it, I thought this has got to be doctored. This can't be real. Don't move. Straight out to veteran trial lawyer Franz Borghardt, a veteran trial lawyer joining us out of the Baton Rouge jurisdiction at Borghardt's law firm. Franz, take off your defense hat just one moment. I have introduced wiretaps many times at trials, which are very hard to get, by the way. And I've never had one that I believed was doctored at the time because they were taken by law enforcement. This is from a completely independent source with no dog in the fight, no skin in the game. It's from Dispatch at Cito. And if this is real, this blows the case wide up. Now, you saw Janetta Brantley. You've heard her. I have no reason to disbelieve anything she's saying.
So if I'm prosecuting this, I'm worried that I need a witness in 2026 to exclude the possibility that it's either AI generated or doctored, just like you suggested. And I think that she's very credible, but I think we need to go one step further. The other concern I have, Nancy, is if the independent autopsy is showing inconclusive death results, now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened? These are the concerns I would have as a prosecutor. But we've now opened the doors to these guys may in fact have committed obstruction of justice.
Hold on. You're putting the cart before the horse. Before we talk about obstructions such as allegedly lying or covering something up, you've already mentioned two distinct lines of inquiry. One is that the audio that Janetta Brantley enhanced innocently, I believe, had been already AI or doctored. Okay, let's follow that through to its logical conclusion. You just throw that out there like a stink bomb at the circle.
Well, I mean, they added music to the call. Why did they do that?
That could be hold music too.
Right, but I mean, the first time we got this released, there was no hold music at all.
That's where depending on where you're pulling your source from, and that's why I think when Nancy first said something, she made it clear where she tried to let her know where did you get it from. If you got it from YouTube, then that will just nix what she was saying.
Okay.
You know what a circle meeting is, right? In the United Methodist Church, all the ladies have circle meetings. Okay. To suggest this was doctored before Janetta got it means it had to have been doctored or AI created by who? The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. No, don't just go, that doesn't work in court, Burkhart's. You can't just throw, that's like the side defense. Some other dude did it. What dude? What are you talking about? So you're saying AI doctored by who? If it's not Janetta, then who? She got it. The same sound that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. What? You think they doctored it?
There is nothing normal about this case. And if the
That's not what I asked you. I'm asking you to explain your premise, and you're not doing it.
I said if I were a prosecutor, I would want to be able to establish with expert testimony that what we are listening to is real. And I would want a witness, because I'm telling you, with this case, with as viral as it's been, I'm not disagreeing that it's real. I'm saying I would want to be able to bolster that very credible woman's testimony, and she is very credible. I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible. The issue is I don't know if she can go the distance to say,
okay, got it. She cannot testify as to whether MDMR had enhanced it or doctored it before it was released. But see, the problem is you would have to ask someone to believe a clerk or an official at the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources doctored this before they released it, to the extent that nobody could understand it until they enhanced it. That's a hell of a doctor job. Okay, so you did that. Then you got into the medical examiner.
Well, Nancy Grace seems to believe that this was all doctored. Do you think this was doctored?
I don't know if she thinks it's doctored. I think what she's trying to do is rule out fair play. Not fair play. The opposite. Foul play, excuse me.
Classic said the OG did have music. Okay, Classic.
Yeah, it did have it did have originally have music, but the source is the problem. Where did you get it from? That's what this attorney is talking about. And I don't know if she's trying to make this other woman credible, but what she did in front of us was credible. That's the point that what we're trying to say. Now, the original information that came out, the original sound or the call, that's the source that you'd want to fact check. Where did you get it from? And I don't know. I thought she said she got it from YouTube at the beginning. So, and then Nancy recorrected her, saying you got it from the Mississippi, whatever resource place. And then she's like, yes, I got it from there. And then that's the last I heard of where the source came from. So at this point, I'm not discrediting what she's done as far as her job, but the source is always going to be the problem in anything.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, so that's what he's saying. He's saying, I can't validate the source, not necessarily the work she did, but the source. If you had tainted source, then even if you did miracles with the tainted source, it's still tainted.
Yes. So it's like if the audio is augmented,
right,
in any way, shape, form, or fashion,
before
that
she
invalidates everything else about the audio, even if most of it is intact. And therein lies the problem.
Well, you got to look at the prosecution versus the defense. What is the defense going to pick apart? They're going to pick apart the source. They're not going to worry about her expertise per se, because she showed it. So they're going to say, okay, that's fine that she did a great job, and no one's going to question her job. But in a defense mode, if I was looking at it, but where did it come from? Where did you get it from? So that's where the professional side would have a leg up, because they're going to get it from the source. They know to get it from the source. Yeah. So if the CETO audio is where it comes from, then if she pulled it directly from that source and did the same thing, would we get the same information, or would we hear the same thing? And then they were talking about this on
Classic
other
Code
shows.
said the attorney Ben Crump confirmed the CETO audio as authentic.
Right. So that's all he's saying.
Which makes a lot of sense.
All right. So we're not judging. I'm not saying she's wrong, but people are trying to discredit her. Why? That's the case. Why are they trying to knock her out of the situation, pull her out, saying she's not credible? He's not saying she's not credible. He's saying it hypothetically as a prosecutor. But as a defense, where I would tear holes in it, I'd be like, if the source is real and everything is real, then that's fine. But then what are we really hearing? And then at that point, we're at a point where now I heard what I heard. I know what you probably heard, and we probably agree. There's a lot of people that might disagree, and then there'll be tons of people that are going to agree. The case is going to be solved on not just the audio, but the triangulation of where they were at.
And that's been my biggest problem from the beginning.
Right.
My biggest problem from the beginning is the timeline never made sense to me.
And it wouldn't.
When the GPS data dropped, the timeline didn't make any sense, because this is not what was said to the authorities on the night of July 4th at 11 p.m. when the Coast Guard was called. This was not what was told to them. This was not the story that was dropped online by various members of the party that was there. Right. This is not the story that was dropped. The metadata, the GPS, and just about everything else points towards a completely different story than what we've been getting.
Yeah, and the interview didn't help Warren's case whatsoever. So at the end of the day, like Classic keeps saying, let them talk. Let them keep talking. So that way they can...
All you gotta do is let them talk.
Yeah. I guarantee you won't do it again.
No.
You won't see an interview for him again.
No, I mean, I got some more from Nancy Grace.
I watched a lady who did behavior analysis, and she even said that the way he was answering questions, he switched up within the conversation. So at the end of the day, if you're looking at it as how people act, the way he was trying to act, and the positioning, they weren't, like you said, there's a lot of unreliable sources, but at the same time, who has the most to lose in this situation is who I'm going to be looking at, period. Who has the biggest loss out of the situation? And it's starting to look like the parents do. That's the reason why they're a lot in it. That's just my interpretation, and I'm not trying to hold you to that, but I'm just saying, if I were in that situation and that were me in that situation, the thinker of the group is not the kids. This is not being done by children at all, because they would have got caught already.
Right.
That's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that also that the underage drinking and all this other stuff that was being done, all that information that's been put out there, they haven't even done anything civilly or make arrest on that, but they want to arrest somebody who's, doing other things outside of the state that has nothing to do with the case.
Exactly. No, I don't think that it has anything to do with the case. I think that there's a few things that are purposely being misdirected, so we will stop looking for the actual facts.
Right. We want
That's what I truly believe.
We want that throat information for sure.
findings. Okay, what was your theory on that? Very quickly.
Very quickly. If he's dead on the boat, how did he die? It should be conclusive. It shouldn't be inconclusive.
Zip. Joining us right now, Joseph Scott Morgan, renowned death investigator, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, with a premier criminal pro department and building, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, star of a hit series, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan, and it goes on. Significant, over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Joe Scott, follow up. I'm not arguing with Burkhart's. Let's learn, if we can, from what he's saying. Jump.
Yeah, so whatever has been the causal factors here has got to marry up with what they were seeing at the scene, and perhaps the audio does fall into this, these statements. And I think that probably from a medical legal perspective, that is the coroner and the medical examiner are going to want to be able to fully appreciate what is being said here from a timeline. This is absent the police's investigation. They're going to try to rule in or rule out what they're seeing presenting on Nolan's remains when they finally did receive them at the state medical examiner's office and that examination began. And this is going to be critical and key, because the causal effects here are going to be critical. We go back to these changes that the second autopsy referred to on the back of the head. Now, the doctor was not able to, at that point in time, even though he did do a thorough, what's referred to as a layered dissection here, he could not establish the causal effects here because the injury or the insult that you see there, this presentation, is compromised by decomposition. So what did the state medical examiner see? My problem is here, Nancy, how was the body treated before or after the first autopsy and the body is transported up to DC? I have questions about this because they're talking about to the degree with which the body was decomposed. The doctor up in DC is seeing significant decomposition. We don't know what they saw in Mississippi, but I do know that you're only talking about and I'm ballparking here, please give me some grace, maybe 48 hours tops before the medical legal authorities have seen the body. So how far degraded is the body to compromise any of this? And this evidence is going to have to be borne out, not just with the physical findings that you see with the unaided eye, but also whatever's going on toxicologically.
I want you to take a careful look at this video we have obtained. Let's see it. Look how tightly everyone is packed in. There were hundreds of people out on Horn Island on July the 4th. What, nobody saw what happened to Nolan Wells? They all just left with him standing there stranded, waving his arms like Gilligan? That did not happen. Now that you're seeing this, what is an innocent explanation? I'm trying to figure that out. Joining me, and I'll circle back to you, Joe Scott, because I got a lot of questions regarding the way he could have died innocently and been left behind, and that sound being true. The sound that Janetta Brantley enhanced. Is there any innocent explanation? Is there a way, as my favorite judge often said, Luther Alverson, it is your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury to no one. Is there a way that can be done? I don't know that it can. It seems to me that someone is lying. But who? Joining me now, TezDown Figaro, social justice, political commentator.
Yes, we don't have to speak to her at the moment. But I mean, D, what do you take from that, man?
Well, I was looking at what they were talking about between how fast the body decomposes twice as fast on land than it does on submerged water. Not to mention salt water versus fresh water, the bacteria and bugs and everything. Salt water contains to stop the osmotic pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but So it sounds like to me, if his body was in salt water, it's kind of like, because salt preserves things, right? Because we have salt in everything that we have. So you would think it would be less decomposed, from my understanding. Plus, the mentioned temperature of the water, which we don't know. No one's talking about that either. So the handling between Mississippi doing the autopsy, how were they treating it while it was going through the process? And were they allowing it to be preserved for a second autopsy before they knew that the second autopsy was going to be done? Would they have treated it differently if they would have known that was going to happen? So that's another thing which, you know, no state wants that kind of situation on their record either. So the handling of it is another issue for me too as well. How was it treated? How was his body treated during the whole process? That's what I would have an issue with.
That's the question.
And then we don't know if the fish or any wildlife or any of that, that would be another indicator. How fast was the scavengers coming towards the body? If you would think they would find that kind of situation, they would have, if there was no real damage, that means the bite marks, stuff like that, that would happen from the wildlife that would be taking advantage of his decomposition. So that wasn't even addressed in the autopsy. So that would mean his body was dumped fairly early, in my recollection or in my understanding, because it doesn't take long for, I don't know if you've been fishing, but as soon as
I've been fishing.
But we all know if you use the right bait and something good's in the water, fish are going to come or something's going to come. So that wasn't even discussed.
No, it wasn't.
So
it wasn't.
That to me is where the foul play is for me. The audio tape is what it is. Everybody can be stuck on that, but I'm looking at the forensics. I'm looking at what are they finding out. Me watching enough of the CTI or CSI and all this other stuff, you maybe it might be, you know, unfactual.
The classic said the area that he washed up in had just been searched. Yes, it did for 2 days. But if he was placed there when they found it and met back up with the leaking boat that kept cruising around, well, they had searched it, Mr. Taco Server. Like classic said, they had already searched that area that day.
Even if he was in a riptide, because I've been in a riptide myself, living in Hawaii, you can ride them if you do it right. You just have to be able to know how long you can hold your breath for. But at the end of the day, it would have shot him outward. It wouldn't brought him back in unless the current would have brought him back in because he was floating on the top of the water. So he would have had to have sunken if he drowned, from my understanding. I don't know. I don't float, so I know I'm going to the bottom of the whatever anyway. Just knowing who I am is how my body works. I even in, what is that, the Black Sea, one of the seas that has a high salt content, I was able to float. So at the end of the day, you know, the whole mystery of when he was found, where he was found, all this other stuff, that's cool. But let's get to the autopsy. What's the forensics?
Yeah.
What's the throat got to do with it? Did he have water in his lungs? Did he have salt water in his lungs? Because imagine if he had chlorine in his lungs. You know, there's all kinds of different variables that they're not talking about, and that's what we want to hear at the grand jury. And that stuff needs to be released. That needs to be second opinion as well. Yeah, exactly. The Mediterranean too. Yeah, wherever it's salty, I sink. I know that. I can video it if you want, but I'll lay in the bottom of the pool.
You will definitely float in
eventually,
the Mediterranean.
Eventually, yeah, I know that, but I can lay at the bottom of the pool with my head down, my feet, my whole body's touching the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's salt water. Salt water is different, of course.
Yeah, the buoyancy is different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the word we're searching for.
Yes, excuse me.
As I said, you had to ride Riptides, fighting them kills up.
Yeah.
Sonya said, could he have been placed there? I think he could have been placed there. That is within the realm of possibility. As I said, Mediterranean Sea, you can float for certain. Salty is, yeah, exactly. We talked about this before. Even before this, we talked about this.
But I don't know what the buoyancy level is in the Gulf. So
it's the what is it called? Mississippi Sound.
Yeah.
LV Grimes said the caller said no one was over the age of 21. He said, yeah, exactly, Classic. Within hours. I was just wondering because he had no fish attacks. We don't know about that. We don't see. There's so much we don't know because they're not releasing all of the evidence.
18 in the United States.
Yeah, 18. She asked if there's any adults. He said nobody was over 21. We know that's the call. What I will say, guys, is it's been a long night, and there's a lot more that we're not going to solve tonight. We're gonna keep covering this. There's more information that we want to let go of. There's more stuff that we're going to be getting from them. It's only Monday, and it's Sunday now. Sorry, it's Tuesday now.
Tuesday.
We're going to get through this over the rest of this week. You guys make sure that you like and subscribe, and then come back. I'm tomorrow night. We won't be live in the morning tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow night. I have some business to take care of in the daytime, but it'll be tomorrow night. We'll be live again, and we'll be able to cover a little bit more. And I'm not trying to move off of this because justice hasn't been served, and I would love to get back to our regular scheduled programming, but justice hasn't been served. And if you guys know anything about my channel or my show at all, it's basically trying to figure things out socially. And while I do appreciate the dissenters, y'all can still eat one. It's just how it is. I'm just keeping it real. With that being said, In Too Deep, you got anything for the lovely people?
Just stay right, man. Stay right, stay tight, man.
There you go. Stay right, stay tight. I'm Tez. I'm 24. This is the TezDown, and we will see you in another 24. You guys make sure to like, subscribe, visit Classic Codes if you want more information on this, or you can watch some of our older videos where Classic appeared in them. So you guys can definitely check us out. But until next time, enjoy the new outro.
The mic is hot, the light is red. Let's talk about what the paper said. We kept the files on TezDown, Nightcap. Exactly what they wanted to see, but the angles are wrong and the timeline slip. We're reading the notes outside the script. Draw the line from the street to the stand. Nothing plays out the way they planned. We kept the file on TezDown, Nightcap. We're spinning the tape back, checking the code, looking for safe waters in the middle of the sea. Cut the static, listen for the breath between the rumors and the sudden death. We just want the facts. Lay them on the floor until the locked room isn't locked anymore.
I'm the Tez. I'm the Tez.
Welcome to the TezDown. Welcome.
I'm the Tez.
Mic check 1 2. Welcome. Welcome to the TezDown. Party time.